And viewers, Iran probably knew that it was coming but could do nothing to stop it. We're talking about the midnight strikes launched by US on some of their critical nuclear infrastructure. 3 of their biggest nuclear facilities were targeted, and the US has deployed state-of-the-art B-2 stealth bombers to get the job done. Remember, this is the only military plane across the world that's capable of carrying the GBU-57 bunker buster bombs. The only bombs that can actually penetrate deep underground and strike Iran's nuclear infrastructure. But Iran has promised to hit back. Tehran has warned the US of everlasting consequences and says that it reserves every right to retaliate. What's the story behind Operation Midnight Hammer? How much was Israel really involved? We decided to get a sense from a top Israel government voice here on Times Now. And joining us for more, we have with us the Minister of Diaspora Affairs and Combating Anti-Semitism of the State of Israel, Mr. Amichai Chikli is with us. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Amichai Chikli. And let me begin by asking you, what are you looking at in terms of the long-term implications of the attacks that have taken place on the part of the United States on nuclear facilities in Iran?
So Israel set 2 strategic goals to prevent Iran from reaching nuclear capabilities. Iran was very clear in its intentions to destroy the state of Israel, to annihilate it. And luckily, we have managed to destroy the key components of their plan in Isfahan, in Natanz, and with the assistance of the US tonight in Pordo. Second, we had the challenge of their major ballistic missiles plan. Iran planned to reach to a level of 8,000 ballistic missiles. Each one of them carried between 300 to 600 and 700 kilos. We can see the pictures coming from Bnei Brak, Tel Aviv. I've been there, and these are not the missiles of Hezbollah and Hamas. And the threat of the ballistic missiles himself was also considered to be a potentially existential threat due to the inability to handle with an amount of 8,000 missiles, even if you have the best air defense systems. So as for now, we targeted the main factories where these missiles were manufactured. We destroyed 2/3 of the launchers. We destroyed a large amount of their arsenal. These are the operation targets. These are the military targets. Now, regarding the regime, it's not an operational target. Obviously, there is no ground forces that are going to enter Tehran and try to operate there in order to change the regime. It's not going to happen. Israel is not going to do it. The US is not going to do it. But I think that there is an historic opportunity for the Iranian people, for the Iranian opposition, to take their country back from this vicious terror regime that is humiliating people, destroying the life of women, hanging in the middle of the street, gay people, torturing and killing women for not wearing a hijab, destroying democracy and threatening the entire Middle East. We need to bear in mind that when you look at Yemen and the Houthis, when you look to the civil war in Syria, when you look at October 7th, when you look at Hezbollah in Lebanon, you have the fingertips of Iran all over the Middle East. And not just in the Middle East, let's not forget, it was Khamenei himself who instructed the horrific terror attacks in Buenos Aires against our embassy, against the building of the Jewish community in Amia, and also against American troops back in Lebanon, 1983, and more and more.
Yeah. Mr. Chikli, now we've seen Iran's foreign minister Abbas Araghchi has recently announced that he's traveling to Moscow for consultations with President Putin. He's also stated that Iranian armed forces are on full alert and that a quote-unquote variety of options are available to Iran. The big question, though, remains the possibility of the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, not to forget how Russia has strongly condemned the US attacks on nuclear facilities in Iran. How does Israel view these developments?
look, we need to wait and see if and how the Iranian will respond. They are every night sending, this night is going to be a special night. You can follow their Iranian military Twitter account with the threats coming every other day. Now, I don't, we take it seriously, but I think that it will be a major mistake from Iran to continue this war. I think that the best thing for Iran now is to stop the war, because I don't think that they can gain military achievement. Let's bear in mind, they have lost 2 of their chief of staff in the past week. They have lost the commander of the Revolutionary Guard. They have lost the entire chain of command at the Air Force. They have suffered heavy casualties at their top ranks. And I think that they are failing in this war.
Right.
And they will continue to fail. And Israel has a lot of options. I want to remind you, we haven't hurt the economy of Iran. We haven't hit, the oil industries, etc. And we're not looking for further escalation. Our goal was to remove existential threats. I think it is very important. And by the way, some people said this is a preemptive attack. People have forgotten that hundreds of ballistic missiles were fired to Israel back on October and April 2024.
Right.
That is long before. And all we did was to dismantle their air defense systems. So there was not a response from Israel up till now for this aggression from Iran. And therefore, I think Iran is losing the war, and it will continue to lose. And the wisest thing for the Iranians to do is to lay down their weapons and to stop the war.
All right. And, there's an update coming in. Press TV, which is the state television of Iran, has reported that the Iranian parliament has approved the closure of the Hormuz Strait. There's also, of course, the National Security Council that will have to further ratify this particular decision. This is very, very significant, given that, the decision appears to be heading in that light. What does Israel plan to do to counter this? Because this would lead to a huge amount of disruption as global oil supply is concerned, as far as that's concerned. How do you respond to that?
Look, the moment they are blocking the Hormuz corridor, if they'll do it, they are threatening not Israel, but the entire Gulf states. Okay, it's the UAE, it's Saudi Arabia, it's Kuwait, it's even Iraq, and the interest of European countries, the US. We already hit some targets at Bandar Abbas port during the weekend. And we will continue to act against Iranian military targets as this operation is going on. And I'm assuming that if they will take these steps forward, the response not only will be from Israel, but also from other countries.
Okay. It's interesting to see the response that has come in from Russia. I was referring to, of course, the meeting with Putin that is going to take place as far as Iran is concerned. Now, Dmitry Medvedev, who's the deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, has recently questioned the effectiveness of the U.S. strikes on Iran, claiming that the nuclear infrastructure remains largely intact and that enrichment will continue. He's even suggested that some countries may now be willing to supply Iran with nuclear warheads. How seriously does Israel take such statements?
Look, we take every statement seriously, especially from Russia. I hope that these ideas of supplying nuclear weapons from North Korea or any other state, it won't happen. If it will happen, we obviously will need to react. Why? I think that what we saw in the past week with ballistic missiles hitting the heart of our cities, dozens of ballistic missiles hitting directly Soroka Hospital in Be'er Sheva, hitting the port near the port in Haifa. it's clear that the Iranians are very serious when they're saying that they want to annihilate the state of Israel. They're not playing. Therefore, if they will possess nuclear weapon, they are likely to use it. They are likely to use it. So for us, this is not about a domino reaction or a geopolitical chess. It is existential, meaning this is a threat that we must remove. And I think that, and you can see it in the accuracy, in the boldness of the Israeli operation, it comes because we have no other chance. We are fighting for our lives. That is the reality. This is not a game. And we will fight and we will continue to fight against this evil regime. And I really hope that the last word will be the word of the Iranian people themselves.
Right. The response of Iran to what has, really transpired is that they are calling all of this a violation of international regulations and accusing the International Atomic Energy Agency of indifference, even complicitly. How does Israel respond to these charges, and what's your stance on the claim that international law and oversight mechanisms have been bypassed during this escalation?
Well, look, since the 90s, the Iranians have hid their true intentions, the program in Natanz, and later on in Arak, Isfahan, claiming that they have no intentions to reach military capabilities of nuclear capabilities. And it was proven in recent years, and especially in the last 6 months, with the level of uranium that was enriched to the level of 60%, the moment you get to this level of enrichment of uranium above 20%, that is only for military purposes. Therefore, the Iranians cannot say that they have a claim that it's illegal to act against their military nuclear plan, while they're saying every day that their greatest wish is to annihilate the state of Israel. Also, it is hilarious to say it when I'm again saying that back on October 2024 and April 24, hundreds of ballistic missiles were fired at the heart of the cities here in Israel. So therefore, Israel is defending itself. We're not the aggressor here. We never claim we have a goal to annihilate Iran, never. And we were the one to be attacked. By the way, also on October 7, Hamas received $300 million annually from Iran. Hezbollah, that joined on October 8th, they've got $700 million annually from the Iranians. The Houthis, who are firing at us, they are also sponsored by Iran. So Iran was at a war with the state of Israel through its proxies, and later on with its ballistic missiles. And therefore, this war is a war of defense. Israel is a democracy, seeks no war with anyone. We want to live quietly, but we are willing to fight and defend our people, just like the people of India.
Right. Following the U.S. airstrikes on Iranian nuclear sites, we've seen Saudi Arabia as well as Iran confirming that there were no nuclear effects or signs of contamination at the facilities such as Isfahan, Fordo, and Natanz. Now, given this, how does Israel assess the actual impact of the strikes? Do you believe they achieved the intended strategic objective? Because there's also, some amount of satellite imagery to suggest that there's a huge amount of logistical activity taking place before these strikes. So there is a sense that perhaps, the enriched uranium and other aspects could have been moved out of those locations before the strikes actually took place. What is your assessment?
So first, deliberately, the uranium itself that was enriched, it was not attacked, because we didn't want to create a Chernobyl scenario. So what was prevented is the attack, due to the attack on the centrifuges, is the ability of Iran to go to the next level, to continue to enrich uranium, to turn it into a nuclear weapon. That was the aim of the strikes against Natanz That was the aim of the strikes against Bordeaux, Isfahan, and also against the scientists that we have targeted because they are the one in charge for the project of creating nuclear weapon. So the attacks were extremely precise, with minimum damage for civilians, with no intention whatsoever to harm the Iranian civilian. And as mentioned, the goal to prevent the Iranians to go to the military level of uranium enrichment. I believe that this goal was, I assume that we will be more certain in the coming days with the experts who can reassess the exact results of the air attacks.
Right. Now, we've seen the Pakistan Foreign Ministry come out to condemn the US attacks on Iran's nuclear facilities, warning that any further escalation could have severely damaging implications for the region and beyond. How do you view Pakistan's condemnation of the strikes? Because incidentally, is the same country that was, recommending a Nobel Peace Prize for the US president just a few days ago.
So I condemn their condemnations, and I'm not surprised. And it's clear, by the way, that although that these are different ideologies, Shiite versus Sunni Islam, the philosophy to some extent is similar, and it is very, very dangerous. We all saw the horrific terror attacks against Indian people on your border. We all followed very closely what happened on your border. And unfortunately, Pakistan also was giving a shelter from Osama bin Laden, the architect of 9/11, doesn't play a positive role worldwide. It is usually stand with the terrorist, whether it's Al-Qaeda, whether it's Hezbollah in Iran. And that is part of the reason why India and Israel are so close allies, because we cherish life, we cherish democracy, we cherish human dignity, we cherish civil rights, and our God doesn't order us to kill innocent people or to conquer the entire world so they believe what we believe.
Right. Let me come in on another aspect of this, because, when it comes to Pakistan, we've seen how Mohsen Rezai, a senior Iranian military commander and member of the National Security Council, have earlier said that Pakistan has assured Iran that it would retaliate with nuclear weapons if Israel were to use nuclear missiles. Rezai had said, and I quote, "Pakistan's assured us that if Israel uses the bomb, the nuclear bomb, they will attack Israel with a nuclear bomb." And though Pakistan itself has denied it, but if Pakistan were to get involved, how would Israel's response then be?
Look, I'm glad that they almost immediately said that these quotes are false and it's not true. Although we don't have much in common with Pakistan, we have no interest in going to war with Pakistan. And obviously, the idea that we will throw nuclear weapons without being attacked first is irrelevant. This weapons is for really different moments, and I hope we'll never be needed to use nuclear weapons.
Right. We've also seen the Houthis come out to say that they would be targeting US warships in the Red Sea. What happens in that kind of eventuality? Because there are concerns that this could be a more widespread war or a more widespread fight if that does take place in the Middle East.
Look, my assessment is that due to the blows that the Iranian regime received during this operation, maybe in the short term, the Houthis might have some achievements. Maybe they can hit and hurt us or other countries, our allies. Maybe they can do it. But on the long term, they're going to be without Iran as a superpower in the region, as we saw it a year ago. And during this year, Iran became weaker and weaker and weaker. She lost Hezbollah. She lost the Assad regime. She's lost Hamas. And I think that the Houthis, without their patron, they will be much more weaker. They have already destroyed Yemen. They've already destroyed and ruined their economy. Their ports were attacked. Their airport were attacked. Their oil industry were attacked. What do they have to offer to the people in Yemen? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I think, Yemen is divided into two separate parts. I believe that the part who is more aligned with UAE, Saudi Arabia, Western countries, they will become more powerful in recent months, and we will see also developments in Yemen. That's what I believe.
Right. Also, what is your assessment of the possibility, and many are talking about this, that Iran could potentially directly target the US military bases in the Gulf region? Do you think that this is something that Iran would try or won't?
They have done it many times before. They have done it after the killing of Qasem Soleimani, the commander of Quds Force. So obviously, yes, they can do it. But as I mentioned, I think it would be a very bad idea for Iran to escalate the situation.
All right. Minister Amichai Chikli, I'd like to thank you so much for taking the time out and speaking to us here at Times Now.
Thank you, sir. And best wishes for the Indian people.
Thank you so much.